Okay, hi everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Annika Schneider, and I am the Director of Exhibitions and Artist Programs at Minnesota Center for Book Arts, and I use she, her pronouns. Today's info session is on our Jerome Book Arts Mentorship Program. So a little bit about MCBA, if you are not familiar, we are the largest book art center of its kind, celebrating the book as a dynamic contemporary art form that takes many shapes. Our mission is to ignite artistic practice, inspire learning, and foster diverse creative communities through the book arts. We create access to specialized book arts tools, equipment, and knowledge, support interdisciplinary artistic development, expand opportunities for people who have been historically underrepresented in the field, and present exhibitions and educational programs that promote innovation and create connections around the art of the book. We are located in the Open Book Building on Washington Avenue in downtown Minneapolis. This is the lobby space in Open Book, and Open Book houses also the Loft Literary Center and Milkweed Editions as the founding partners, and then MCBA is the third founding nonprofit. We have a shop and two gallery spaces, one of which is the main gallery, which the Jerome mentees will have accumulating exhibition in the space. Here is an image of one of our past exhibitions. And then this is an image of the Jerome Mentorship exhibition from last cycle. And this exhibition was last fall, 2023. This is Jerome mentees Surya Kuth's work. This is D'Angelo Christian's work on the back wall, and Leah Klister, one of the other Jerome mentees from last round. And then some of Leah's additional work from the program. And then here they are, who were the last three Jerome mentees and our first Jerome mentees since the pandemic. We skipped a year due to the pandemic. And then we also have an Outlook Gallery exhibition space, which faces Washington Avenue. Okay, so in our studios, we have 12,000 square feet of studio space. We have a printing studio, which has Vandercook presses for letterpress, hand presses, an etching press, which can do dry point, relief on, a show card sign press, and a polymer plate maker. In our bindery, we have board shears, guillotines, foil presses, paper drill, book cradles, sewing frames, book presses, spiral binder, backing press. We also have a screen printing studio, a paper making studios with hydraulic presses, restraint dryer, paper beaters, felts, molds, and decals, and equipment for marbling, engraving, calligraphy, alternative print photography, and more. So not all of this might mean a lot to you, being interested in the Jerome Mentorship Program and not necessarily being a book artist yet. So I'm happy to answer questions about our studios, what the equipment is and can do at the end as you're thinking about your applications and what project you are going to be proposing. So here's an image of our letterpress studio. Paper making and marbling. And our paper making, our wet studio as we call it. Our bindery. Okay. Getting a little now into the specifics of this program. So the application deadline is Sunday, August 4th at 11:59 p.m. So make sure to get it in by then. It will close at midnight, and then applications will not be accepted after the deadline. That is always an issue for one or two people, but it is just something we can't accommodate to have applications after the deadline. And please be aware that because the application is due on a Sunday to give people through the weekend to work, I will not be working on that Sunday to answer last second questions. So if there are questions, please get them into me the week before and make sure you're into your submittable account, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. So the MCBA Jerome Book Arts Mentorship is open to Minnesota-based early career artists. The Book Arts Mentorship is an artist development program aimed at introducing book arts to early career artists whose primary medium is in another discipline. There are many reasons to explore book arts as a new artistic medium. As a highly malleable and versatile form of expression, book arts extend the possibilities of other art forms. You can create a conceptual space, experiment with sequence and visual or verbal narrative, use book art forms to explore, document, or re-examine work produced in other artistic disciplines. So there's a lot of ways you can take this proposal on what you want to do with your program year and how you might want to use book arts and incorporate into your practice, use it supplementally in another project or series you're working on. The possibilities are really endless, and I am happy to provide any more specific feedback or questions you have about how you might want to use book arts in your practice. Okay, so the application cycle. The application cycle, again, August 4th is when the application closes. And then Saturday, September 14th is when the program year starts. So that is the day for the orientation. And then the program year runs from September 14th to November 14th, 2025. So it is a little over actually one calendar year. For this program, November 14th is when the exhibition will open, and then that will run actually until January 2026 for the exhibition for this program. Okay. So a little bit about the Jerome Foundation. So the Jerome Foundation was created by artist and philanthropist Jerome Hill, and it seeks to contribute to a dynamic and evolving culture by supporting the creation, development, and production of new works by early career, formerly called by the Jerome Foundation Emerging Artists. The foundation makes grants to early career artists and those nonprofit arts organizations that serve them in the state of Minnesota and the 5 boroughs of New York City. The foundation's highest priority is to support artists early in their careers who create work that has the potential to be compelling, deeply considered, imaginative, innovating, and risk-taking. All right, so the Jerome Book Arts Mentorship is for Minnesota-based artists. So you have to show at least 1 year of Minnesota residency prior to the application deadline. And then early career artists. So early career artists and artists have to be, as defined by the Jerome Foundation, as generative artists. So that could be literary arts, visual arts, music. If you're a musician, you have to be a composer. That's who the Jerome Foundation considers to be a generative artist within music. Within film and video, who the Jerome Foundation considers to be generative are filmmakers, animators, directors. That's who they consider to be the generative artists. They consider actors to be interpretive artists, so actors do not qualify. Theater, again, playwriting is who they consider to be generative, not the actors who they consider to be interpretive. And then for dance, it's the choreographers who are eligible and not the dancers. So if there's any more specific questions on who is eligible as a generative artist, as defined by the Jerome Foundation, I'm happy to talk more about that when we get to questions. And then you have to be available to participate in all aspects of the program. And then applicants who are not eligible, if you are a current degree seeking student, obviously, none of you are MCBA staff members. If you have received a McKnight Fellowship, you are not eligible. If you are a previous Jerome Book Arts resident or mentee, or if you are tenure track faculty, you are not eligible to apply for this opportunity. Okay, who is early career? So early career artists have done more than simply aspire to create a work in a given discipline. Early career artists have already created works and have an artistic practice. In the case of those artists who have been enrolled in degree training programs, works have to be created in the period following their graduation. An artist may be considered early career for multiple years. The program supports both artists who are early and those who are late but within their stage of early career. Age is not a factor in determining an early career artist. Early career status is based on the totality of an artistic career, not on the achievement within a single discipline. So example, a well-established musician composer who decides to begin creating book arts is considered a post early career artist and is ineligible to apply for Jerome support in any program. So another way to say that, if you've been a painter for 40 years but you are just starting out in ceramics and you have 2 years of ceramics experience, you're still not an early career artist overall in the eyes of the Jerome Foundation, so you are not eligible for Jerome programs. Okay. What is book art? So book art is an interdisciplinary art form. Book art is a contained narrative that serves as a multifaceted method of communication. And book arts is a family of processes that includes, but is not limited to, letterpress printing, screen printing, intaglio, paper decoration, box making, book binding, paper making, and marbling. So here are some images and examples of what book arts can be. So it can really look like a lot of things, from very sculptural to more traditional book forms. We count it all as book arts in MCBA's definition. And we do also count digital art forms, animations, other things that they can possibly be book arts as well. And then zines, we also house under our definition of book arts. Okay, so the application requirements are a letter of intent, work samples, artist statement, resume/CV, an image description list, and proof of Minnesota residency. So what the panelists look for: work samples will show the jury panel your artistic merit. So that's also evidence of your artistic practice and being an early career artist as well. Clarity and uniqueness of vision, and visual/written evidence for how book arts will develop your practice. Your artist statement should include who you are as a person/artist. Sometimes that is more intertwined than others. Where your practice comes from, what your practice is about, / your values in your practice. Letter of intent. So how do you see book arts developing your practice? Why are book arts needed in your practice? What skills in particular do you see yourself using? And any specific projects or ideas? What is your vision? And then your professional resume will show your artistic accomplishment, early career status, and commitment to your practice. A lot of people get really worried about what is or isn't in their resume. In this case, is really just to show the jurors that you are early career. So I would not worry about it too much, of having certain things, education, those things. It's really just to show that you are in that 2 to 10 year range at the beginning of your career, which is the range that the Jerome Foundation gives for being 2 to 10 years as early career. If you have more specific questions about that, which could, involve career gaps, other things, obviously everyone's careers take completely different trajectories, please feel free to talk to me about that. Okay, your artist statement and letter of intent. So submit a current artist statement that speaks to the images you are submitting. This is pretty important. This is something that often there's a couple people who um, don't quite do this, and that's always confusing to jurors. Your artist statement should directly address the actual images you are submitting. If you are saying you are a photographer and really interested in photography and your image samples don't support that, that is going to be a question in your application. Your images and statement should work together to support each other and create a view of you as an artist to the jurors. So they should reference each other and be working together so that the artist can understand who you are, what is driving your practice, and why is this opportunity right for you and your practice now. Try to address at least one of the following statements or questions in your letter of intent. Describe the future direction of your work. How will the mentorship programming benefit your practice? Why is this a pivotal moment in your practice where receiving this residency and completing the project will make a difference? And then in all of it, do not include your name. We try to make this as blind of a process for our jurors as possible. But again, try to address one of those three things. Also, things that tend to make applications strong is if you are going through any kind of pivot or transition in your practice or in your ideas, that is always very attractive to jurors. Jurors want to support new steps, new ideas, new ways of thinking. Historically, that's just what I find that jurors are attracted to. So if you are going through any of those kinds of transitions or pivots, I think you should be sure to talk about that somewhere if that's in your artist statement or letter of intent. Also, I know the artist statement and letter of intent, they're 500 words. That doesn't give you a ton of room. So try not to repeat yourself. If something is in your artist statement, don't feel like you need to repeat that in your letter of intent. I say it's more important to just think of your whole application holistically and make sure it's giving a picture of yourself, than feel like one thing has to be in your statement or in your letter of intent. Think of them all as working together. Okay, your resume or CV. So list your accomplishments to date. Again, please do not include your name on your resume. If your name is in the title of an exhibition, publication, or other, replace it with artist name. It shouldn't be any more than 2 pages maximum, and this should be used to demonstrate how you are an early career artist. If you are applying as a collaborative team, you will submit to and just have artist A, artist B, and then it can be in one PDF together, and then it would just be 4 pages maximum. Okay, work samples. So it is 10 work samples total. Springboard for the Arts is a great resource if you do not have good documentation of your work. They have a lab. They often have labs to document work. You can also check out resources. Um, you can also have video or audio, which may not exceed 10 minutes. And then written samples may not exceed 6 pages. Samples should be very considered. More is not always better. So if you are applying with different series of work, I would not really show any more than like 3 bodies or series of work to really try to have that direction in your application. Okay, and then proof of Minnesota residency. Applicants must have lived in the state of Minnesota for 1 year prior to the application deadline. So from August 3rd, 2023. Proof of residency can be your Minnesota driver's license, ID card, utility bill in the applicant's name, lease, or tribal ID. But make sure that is dated before August 3rd, 2023. Every year I have somebody, at least one person apply with a driver's license that is dated after the application, after the year. So make sure if you have updated your driver's license just to include the previous one and the current one. And then award winners must reside in the state of Minnesota for the duration of the program and be able to participate in all aspects of the program. Okay, so program benefits and schedule we'll get into now. So there is a $2,000 just stipend for materials and to supplement project costs. That is subject to state and federal income tax guidelines. So be aware you will be taxed on that $2,000. It's not the full 2,000. And I usually split that up into 2 payments. One will be this fall in 2024 and then one early in 2025 to split that over 2 tax years to help people out. Basic book arts training at MCBA through required workshops and trainings, which I'll get into a little bit more on what specifically those workshops are. You also receive an education stipend of $1,400, which will be used on those required workshops and trainings. That is not paid out to you directly. We handle that all internally, so that is not money you are taxed on, which is beneficial to you in getting the most out of that $1,400 on workshops at MCBA. So you will have 24/7 access to MCBA's studios for 10 months, the ability to receive mentorship and support from MCBA staff through project meetings. We'll do one field trip to a local collection and one to a local book artist studio, and then recognition through accumulating public exhibition at MCBA's main gallery. We do get that professionally documented as well. You also get a 1-year MCBA membership, which includes a 10% discount on all workshop tuition, 10% discount at the shop, and other invites to special exhibition openings and events. Okay, so here are the program benefits and schedule. So again, I said Saturday, September 14th is the mandatory orientation. And then right away, as soon if you are accepted in this program, you will start registering for workshops. It's a pretty fast process because there is a lot to learn in a 1-year program. So you can almost think about it as it's a very immersive program and thinking of it as like almost a mini BFA in book arts or like a sort of a graduate experience of working immersively in a book arts project. So you will take a letterpress 1 class, which is typically one full Saturday for 6 hours of instruction. A paper making workshop, you will have options of what it could be depending what you're interested in. It could be Japanese paper, European paper, harvest paper, or another workshop. That will probably be 3 consecutive evenings. Most of our workshops take place Thursday evenings or Saturdays, but we also have occasional other times like bookbinding 1, which you'll take. It will typically be 3 consecutive Thursday evenings or now Wednesday mornings. You also do a cutting equipment training and then a paper beater training if you're interested in continuing to make European paper, and that's what your project is. So those are kind of your core workshops you'll be going through. And then the rest of your educational stipend will be used on specific workshops to gain the specific skills you want to work on your project that'll be in your exhibition, or even one-on-one tutoring to gain specialized skills in the areas you need. Okay, so how can you get involved at MCBA right now? So we have both virtual and in-person workshops, and we have a reduced BIPOC rate of 50%. Um, and some of the topics we have that are bookbinding, researching and writing in artist books, intro to design, indigo use and preparation, DIY printing, French pochoir. So we have a variety of workshops, and really many more. Printing is also very popular for our workshops right now. This is a tentative program schedule just so you can get an idea of what the year will look like. So we will do our first field trip in November, second in January. February, you'll already have hopefully completed your core workshops, and we will be finalizing what your project planning will look like for the rest of the year, and your preliminary project outlines would be due. Um, Tuesday, March 18th, so mid-March, we will be working on presentations. So you kind of do a mid-program year presentation to introduce yourself to the MCBA community, and a talk on what your art has been and what you think it's going to look like for the rest of the program year and what your project will be. So then you will do your presentations in end of March. June, we will do a mid-program check-in with also in June, your final project plan will be due. We will also be helping you plan your projects and figure out what skills you need, as I know book arts will be new skills. Tuesday, September 9th. Again, this is tentative. We'll already be planning for your exhibition in the main gallery. October 28th, the exhibition installation will begin with MCBA staff. Exhibition installation will be completed by November 6th with a reception November 14th for the exhibition. And then they will do a debrief, and then the install for the exhibition will start Monday, January 26th, 2026 already, which I know feels like a long way out, but it happens fast. Okay, again, how can you get involved in MCBA? So we have studio labs, which gives low cost access to equipment on Tuesdays and Saturdays, where studio fellows are available to help with equipment, but you must have experience with the equipment to work independently in our studio labs. That is everything. Questions, you can also schedule individual appointments with me to go over application questions, but please do that before July 31st. So there is time to finalize your application and get that in by August 4th. Does anyone have any questions right now? I am happy to take any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when we're filling out the application, do we need to have kind of a specific project in mind that we will want to do, or is it okay to not necessarily know
I think
project that we would?
that's a great question. I think be as specific as possible. Obviously, you are not committed to anything. It can completely change once you're learning the skills. But being as specific as possible helps the jurors. It helps the jurors a lot in wanting to select you and getting an idea of like what you're interested in. So even if you don't have a specific project, I would be at least specific of what you think you're interested in within book arts. Like, do you really see yourself like doing a lot of binding? Talk about that and why, even if you don't know what kind of book you're binding, what that might look like. Sorry, 1 second. Or even if it's a topic or idea and you don't really know what book arts elements you're going to use, talk about that. Like maybe you're really interested in climate change and you're like, I don't know if it's going to look like a book or paper making or what, but say like, this is why I'm interested in climate change. This is why I want to explore it through book arts. This might be what it looks like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? Okay.
I have
Oh, yep.
one more.
Of course. Yeah, this is what this is for.
So I just had, so does the education stipend covers the cost of all our required workshops and then
Yes.
Okay.
And beyond, yes. I cannot quite remember the number offhand of exactly how much the required workshop. I think it's like the required workshops take up about $500 to $600 of that $1,400. And there's one workshop that we've actually updated that I forgot to mention in this, but it is listed in the guidelines. So in January, we will have a book arts project planning workshop that is also part of the required workshops that we updated from last mentorship cycle because some of them elected to take it and some of them didn't. And the ones who elected to take it said that was super helpful to sort of take in January at the beginning of the year when they're figuring out how they're going to be using all the skills they were learning in the workshops. So that is the additional required workshop.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, of course.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
Hi.
How are you? Glad you made it on.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. How much do the mentees get to interact with each other? Like,
I get
is
to
everyone
interact
just
with
kind of, oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem. You get to interact with each other quite a bit because we're with each other on field trips and all the meetings, and then likely you'll be in a lot of the same workshops together. Obviously, maybe not all depending on schedule, but you will be because we do want to have like multiple options for you guys. Like there'll be multiple times like within the fall that like letterpress one is offered. So if you can't make it one Saturday, there's other options, but probably you guys are going to be overlapping in a decent number of the workshops. And everyone will be in the book arts planning workshop together. Any other questions? Okay, if there's not, please feel free to email me, give me a call, set up an individual meeting as you are working on this application. I am happy to provide that assistance, but please don't wait till the Friday before to contact me. So my biggest advice is start as early as you can, which I know is hard to do, and really just think about how all of those materials are working together. Just really like give the jurors like to help tell the story of you and your practice, and then how this is going to benefit you and why this is right for you and your practice now. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for all the technical difficulties at the beginning, and I'm glad everyone made it on. Thanks so much. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Monica.
You're so welcome.